the best thing to do is not a quick fix or like a overnight solution, because when it comes to acne, it's basically your body communicating that, hey, I need help. If you do go the traditional route, you're putting a band-aid on that. You're not really addressing what your body needs. This program is all about actually addressing and supporting your body, and I feel like that can never be like the wrong decision.
That's beautiful. Oh my
I
gosh, I
should
love
also
that.
say we have not paid her for any of this.
Welcome to the Clear Skin Chronicles, the podcast that takes you on a journey to uncover the secrets of achieving glowing, acne-free skin. We believe that knowledge is power, and by understanding the root causes of acne, we can create a solid foundation for long-lasting clear skin. I'm Katie Stewart, registered holistic nutritionist and founder of the Clear Skin Solution, where we help women just like you get to the root cause of their acne.
And I'm Chris Brown, registered holistic nutritionist and program director inside the Clear Skin Solution. Through functional testing, we pinpoint where the body system imbalances lie, so we can dive deep into the acne clearing journey.
We work virtually with clients to clear up their skin from the inside out and have helped thousands of women worldwide regain their confidence.
Well, we have another super special podcast today. We're back doing our Real Skin, Real Journeys series where we get to chat with clients that have gone through the program, that are going through the program. And I think this is just such an incredible series to do. It was a request from not only our own clients, but also our community members, because it really allows people struggling with acne to realize they're not alone. They're not alone in the things they've tried and how they feel and how it's impacting their life and the thoughts they have and the experiences they have. And especially as adults, adults aren't thought to get acne. And so when you realize that I'm not the only one, it can be so comforting to know that there's others out there. So today we're joined by one of our lovely clients, Anjan. She has been with us at the time of recording for the last 5 months. And I've been so looking forward to speaking with you, because before we hopped on to record the podcast, Anjan, I was so intrigued because you're a tattoo artist. And I think it's such a cool career choice. So I hogged the spotlight a little bit from Chris, and I was asking her all the questions about tattooing because it's super cool. I love it. So I know now that I've fangirled enough over her being a tattoo artist, because I think it's the coolest ever, let's kind of dig into Anjan. What was your life like dealing with the acne? Like, how was it impacting your day to day?
Honestly, I feel like I started getting acne in high school, and it was not very intense, but it was still like a different thing from other people. So it felt like, I was conscious about it. And so it pretty much affected every day of my life, because I would, in that age, compare myself to my friends with like their amazing skin and everything. And back then, there was like no social media, or if it was like very like filter, and you only see like people with like glowing skin, glowing health. So it was pretty isolating. And and I think the traditional route was always like antibiotics, and like you go to a doctor and they give you like a prescription for something, and then you're just like sent away. So that's what the last 10 years of my life have been with acne. And it's always felt like this is something I can't really open up about to like friends or family, because they would not be able to relate, or they wouldn't know that. I mean, even I didn't know that there was like a holistic route. It just felt like, all my life, I'm just gonna go to a doctor's office. They're gonna look at me, give me like some prescription, and then I go home. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't, and you go back. So like, I just felt like my life's just gonna be like this constant back and forth. And that's what it's pretty much been for the last 10 years. And yeah, there were definitely a couple of years where I would say my acne was like managed, controlled, because I was on all these things. I have tried antibiotics, like that's how it starts. No, I tried like the topical antibiotics, that's how it starts. Then they don't work, then they try the oral antibiotics. So I've done that. I have done Accutane. And of course, my skin was great when I was on Accutane. Then you come off Accutane and everything comes back with a vengeance. And then I don't know how to pronounce it, but then I was on Spironolactone.
Spironolactone.
Yeah,
Spironolactone. Yep.
yeah, for a few months there. And yeah, and every time it's not like that my skin was like glowing healthy. It was still like inflamed, irritated, just like controlled.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I have been following your Instagram page since 2020. It's been like 4 years now. Yeah.
That's incredible.
So I think the last 3-4 years, I did realize that, there is like a holistic component to it. There are things you could do internally.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in our world, that feels like such a alternative thing to do that it feels like a little intimidating to like invest in something like that. Because like you're just taught that doctors and like medical science is the thing to
sure.
like really help you. So it did take me like a good 4 years to be like, nope, that's not working. That's not what I want my life to be, the constant back and forth of like doctor offices.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was the reason when I finally decided like, okay, I'm gonna like
let's do
do
it.
this for good. Yeah.
Yeah. Because for you, obviously dealing with acne for a decade, from your teens, you're in your mid-20s now, and this is a time when you want to be going out, having fun, doing things with your friends, right?
Yeah.
So did you find that it was impacting how you were acting in these social situations?
Definitely. Like when my skin was good, I would show up to events. I would show up as a better friend. I would be like more fun, outgoing, which I know is like my personality, like at the core. But when my skin would be like not doing well, I would just not go out. I would like
Mm-hmm.
not show up. And I would also not open up about it to my friends. So they would have no idea like how like Anjan is like really like fun sometimes and suddenly she disappears and she reappears. So.
Right. It's like this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not something that is comfortable talking about, right? Because did you have any friends that were dealing with skin issues?
No.
None.
Yeah,
So
and I feel like even if there were probably people dealing with skin issues, you just tend to view it so much harsher on yourself, like so much more worse on yourself. Like if I would have someone dealing with skin issues, I would not see their skin, I would see them as a person.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so tough to do that for yourself. So yeah, like now that you said, I probably don't even know if one of my friends were going through it because I didn't notice or like really observe something. Yeah.
But it's when it's for you, because that was something I really struggled with, is I always felt like people were seeing my acne and not me, right?
Yeah.
Like they were judging me, especially because I had acne in my early 20s like you.
Mm-hmm.
And in your early 20s, you're starting a career. Like you're starting to be an adult now.
Yeah.
And I always felt like my coworkers, I wanted to be taken seriously as an adult and not as a kid.
Yeah, definitely. And I did have acne like when I started my tattooing career as well. And I think having confidence when you talk to clients is such a game changer, which so I could also see it affect my work and my creativity. And because if I'm always thinking about my skin, then there's gonna be no time to actually like think about designs and art and stuff.
That's it. Because it's like, Chris, as you know, talking to so many of our clients, like Anjan, you're not alone in that feeling. Is it dampens it's like a weight on your mental brain all the time because it's all you think about. And for you, being creative is such a massive component to your job that when all you're thinking about is your skin and you're scrolling Pinterest for skin issues instead of scrolling Pinterest for, inspiration, it really starts to like put that scale in the way we don't want it to be going.
Yeah, and there's so much noise on the internet that there's so much to read, you would never figure it out on your own. So you're just constantly, it's like a lottery slot where you're like constantly scrolling, thinking that, oh, maybe the next scroll will give me the answer, or the next time I go on the internet, I'll get the aha moment or something.
That's a great analogy. I think I'm going to have to do a social media post on that, Anjan. You just inspired a new analogy for me. I think it's so true. It's like playing the slot machine, going to the casino, you never know what you're going to get. So when we're looking at it, it's really comes down to that confidence piece. And for you, you know, getting that confidence back was going to allow you to you be that Anjan with your friends, that you have fun and go and do cool things and be that better tattoo artist and just be happier and live your life in a better way. So for you, it said it took you about 4 years to finally say, okay, I think I think I'm going to leave the meds behind and try this holistic route. And for you, having done antibiotics, Accutane, Spironolactone, were you struggling with any additional symptoms outside of your skin?
Well, the funny thing is, now that I look back, I can say that my digestion was off, but my digestion has been off since high school. So I thought this is how it is for everyone. So I didn't know it's like a symptom or like something that's, you know, not normal. So I didn't really observe any of the other symptoms because I was like so focused on like how my skin's doing and if my acne is doing better that everything else didn't matter. So I probably didn't even like acknowledge it. But definitely like my digestion, bloating, I definitely had all of that now that I look back. And I've always been someone who didn't really suffer from like period cramps or like period pain, which is great. So I think it was always like gut health and digestion for me.
Now that you know you've made the decision, you're going to go through it, Chris, I would love you to start to dig into a little bit of what was going on inside our body, because Anjan, we know that when you come work with us in the Clear Skin Solution, we really go and we utilize the functional labs. And because we know that when you're going at it alone and you're like throwing spaghetti at a wall, trying to see what sticks, we're not getting down into what are those bigger imbalances in the body. So when you came in, of course, like every other client, we ran a hair trace mineral analysis. And Chris, you know, when you're looking at Anjan's HTMA, what are those imbalances that we were seeing and that the licensed clinician was seeing in that to be like, hey, this is some opportunities here where we can start helping her body out a little bit?
Well, I want to step back just a wee little bit, because if we go through your history, you talked about the antibiotics, spironolactone, the Accutane, there was blood labs, like these other things. You were seeing medical doctors and professionals. Did you ever have, if you're open to share, did you ever have a diagnosis when that they said like, this is it, this is what's causing the acne?
Well, I had one doctor say that I have PCOS, but she said it in like 2 minutes of meeting me without any labs. And she just looked at me. She's like, oh, I think you have like this. So that was the only time someone put a label on it. And there was this other doctor who said that maybe it's like high testosterone or like, you know, like imbalanced hormones. But yeah, and again, like without any like proper labs or testing or knowing my history. So
wow.
Yeah.
Bold statement.
And then you did have blood lab testing, right? And there was no substantiating evidence to say, yes, you have high testosterone, yet you had 2 people that guessed at it. Right? And then through other avenues, you were recommended supplementation to even repress further androgens, correct?
Correct.
So now I could see a little bit more of your path going, oh my gosh, I must have this. Everybody's telling me I must have this, right? So in comes, there was a prelude, Katie. So
I know where you're going. Don't worry. I've been hanging out with you long enough to know you have a method to your madness here.
In comes your hair analysis. This is why they're the sexy of my life.
Oh, can I ask you a question though?
No.
Anjan, no, I have one question for her. One question. Anjan, had you ever heard of a hair analysis before? And were you like, what are you going to say? How is my hair going to tell me what's going on with my skin?
I had never heard about it, but I actually was really happy that it's so convenient and I wouldn't have to worry about like finding like a lab or someone like. And no, the only time I heard about it was through your Instagram and your posts. And then I did dig a little deeper about what it is. But yeah, I was pretty amazed by how your hair can tell so much.
It's so cool. I like asking that question because it seems like such a disconnected thing to be able to see like the imbalances in your body that are contributing to acne can be seen in your hair. So I was curious because I think it's so cool.
But honestly, I felt like intuitively, I always thought it, there could be a pattern because back in college, I used to dye my hair like funky colors. And one day I was like, if I put all this, maybe it's gonna somehow get absorbed in my body, like, like because it's connected. And then
Yeah.
I didn't like color my hair that often, even though
Oh,
I didn't
really?
really like see like a change or a difference, but I just
Yeah.
felt there
An
was some
inkling.
intuition, yeah, that, like this is still a part of my body. There has to be like some connection.
I think it's really cool because you've mentioned a few times now, even before we started recording, this like inner intuition that you have, where you had an inkling, but you didn't have that knowledge at the time. But I
Yeah,
love that you
yeah,
had this knowing or this intuition that, hey, like maybe this could be contributing.
yeah.
That's really cool. Okay, Chris, I'm sorry. You go into the HMA. I'm done taking over.
So what I find interesting with your story and your history and all of everything you went through, plus then the minerals that pop up is, and again we have pictures, right? Is that one, the liver might have been struggling. It looked a little bit sluggish, right? We needed that sulfur
Yeah.
pathway. We needed that magnesium. We need a lot of those open like pores, those obviously so the acne can come out, the bowels, the pipes, these types of things. But it didn't just end there, because now that the acne is on the skin, that's surface level. We already know that's kind of congested, right? However, I want to jump back to that spironolactone, the androgen dominance, the PCOS, all of these things. Your calcium and magnesium was elevated, and that can be specifically vitamin D excess. You were taking vitamin D, right?
Yeah.
It could be magnesium deficiency. Magnesium, which is a secret little nugget in there. I just want to tell everybody, we don't have enough magnesium. We can't even do anything with vitamin D anyways. Everybody wants to always go after the vitamins. These types of things. We could also have blood sugar instability. So not
Yep.
eating enough, not balancing the protein, fats, and fibers, right? One of the first things when you came in, we're like, hey, we're going to take a little bit of backdoor road. We're not so sure that we're on the team androgen dominance, were we? We're like, oh, I don't really know if we're going there. However, we had an opportunity to go after blood sugar stability, to go after the antioxidant properties, to help really nurture, love, and support those pathways. Because there was a key component, and it's so misunderstood, is sometimes, when we have things like water softeners, right? And that can perpetuate a little bit higher of sodium. It throws off our endocrine and it stresses out the body. Well, spironolactone represses that kidney function, right? Alters sodium, potassium. If we have a water softener on top of that, now we're compounding the issues. And oh my gosh, how is your stress coming into the program? I don't know, but I'm looking at the H team now and I'm like, oh girl, I just want to give you a hug, right?
Yeah, stress was definitely, I think mindset for me has been the biggest challenge and win through this program. Like, because before that, I didn't really think that my nervous system or like, me not like finding hope in situations could be affecting my overall health. So that's definitely like true. And even about like blood sugar imbalances, I think after I was told that I have PCOS, and then if you look at the conventional research about PCOS, it's more about like eating less or like avoiding like meat and stuff like that. So I was also plant-based for a while and like not having enough protein. So I think that definitely ties it together.
And like for you with the blood sugar, like because you worked heavily with Leanna. She was one of your main lovely coaches here, Leanna and Christina. And, she really worked on your blood sugar for 8 weeks. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't just a few days. It was 8 weeks of working on your blood sugar, your stress regulation, and really helping to give you that balance instead of having like a massive an energy pendulum swinging back and forth, to give you that sustained balance throughout your day.
Yeah, definitely. Like I've never felt so good eating like three proper meals and like also like having nice snacks in between. Like it doesn't feel full, it just feels amazing. Like
feels good. Like you
Yeah.
feel nourished, I think is a good word for it.
Yeah. Nourished is a great word. Yeah.
And
That's
so
also
Chris,
a big proponent. What people fail to realize is if our food is for energy output. So food in, energy in.
Yeah.
It does its thing and then energy out. So we're calorically deprived sometimes. And in essence, digestion was a main factor, blood glucose stability, stress management and regulation. And all of that puts pressure on the endocrine system. And then we start looking at the endocrine system and what's hiding out in there? The thyroid, the master regulator of all sex hormones, right? We have the adrenals, we have the immune system. Even in the report, it's just, we would have probably asked somewhere down the line, frequent cold and flus and infections. Do you get what everybody else gets, right?
Oh my God, I've had so many cold and flu infections. Like, especially the last year, I would fall sick every 2-3 months.
That's not fun.
That's not fun. Yeah.
It's not fun. Yeah. And it's so interesting, right? Is to look at, did you have a lot of colds and flus recently growing up as a child? And again, it's such a disconnect between how often you get sick and your skin.
Yeah. And that also means like more antibiotics because like you fall sick and the first thing the doctors will give you, oh, just do this 5-day course and it's gonna be all good.
Yep, just take the antibiotics again. Like I've taken dozens and dozens of courses over the years. Growing up in the 90s, like that's what you were given for a sniffle. So it's interesting that it's just a constant assault to your gut. And Chris, another thing that we knew for Anjan that we had to focus on was your gut microbiome.
Yep.
With that big history of antibiotics and Accutane, I don't think we needed to do an HTMA to know, or any type of testing to know that your gut probably needed a little bit of love after that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Especially to support it, even when we look at molybdenum or copper molybdenum ratios in the hair analysis, the frequent colds, flus, right through between the combination of iron and copper together. These are the type of things, getting blood labs. The other cute little nugget is what happens is we can have copper excess and it can hide out, but that can drive and stimulate up that estrogen dominance. All of a sudden, now with the PCOS, people want to start pumping in things like Barrage Oil, Vitex, like progesterone, but progesterone is a precursor to androgens, right? So we can be shunting our own androgen DHA activity and perpetuating estrogen dominance, all because we think we thought we had.
And Anjan, like you had a list of supplements that you had come in taking.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, because I did work with another acne practitioner before this, but it was not like a one-on-one program. So it was literally like a teachable where you figure out your own symptoms and then you add like stuff according to you. So I think now that I look back at it, that was pretty crazy of me to do. To like just look at symptoms on my own and like, oh yeah, it must be this. And then you add and like try to like do that.
But it's easy to do. Why? You've been told. This person sat down with you and you said, in 2 minutes, I got diagnosed with this. And another person said, oh, you know what? I think it's this. So you're like, I need to go and remedy this, right? Down the rabbit hole you go. And now, again, we just compound the issues. We can have unnecessary swelling, right? Even from doing stuff like that. So I really appreciate where you are because a lot of clients say the same thing, right? I've tried.
Yeah.
The other thing I also see with a PCOS diagnoses, quote unquote, or suggestions, we're going to leave it right there. Zinc is just flooded into the body. However, if we look at your history, we even take the hair analysis, we look at the gut and how it looks compromised in your digestive system and the digestive minerals that could be off. You know that zinc's going to feed that candidiasis, right?
Yeah.
So these are the things that I love chatting about, and I'm glad that you no longer had to go and do it yourself, and that you came in, you were hanging with us because obviously you've got those gains. And just knowing the difference now is, I always say, like, our big goal inside the Clear Skin Solution is sustainability, right? As you nurture and massage out, do you have tools in order to be able to rebalance? Do you have tools that are effective? If you do get an acne little mark and you're like, wait a minute, let me step back, right? Do you have these tools now where it's no longer, I have to go into all these other resources. I've learned enough to now balance or reapply.
I think that's my favorite part about the program, that the sustainability, that and the fact that there's no anxiety involved anymore. Like that if I do break out in the future, my mind will not think that, oh my God, it's coming back, it's gonna get worse. I will probably think about it, as you said, like step back and see, okay, what factors that I'm not like addressing as well. Earlier, when I was on medications, I always knew it's gonna come back. It's just a matter of time. So even when I didn't have acne, I had clear skin, I would still think about it. I would still think that, oh, maybe tomorrow it'll come back. Or if I feel a little pimple, I'm like, oh no, it's coming back. So it was just like really stressful.
Yeah, because you had mentioned already that mindset has been a hard component for you. So I would love for you to share a little bit, because I'm all about the honesty and transparency. It's not an easy journey, right? We're not going to say it's a cakewalk to come in and clear up your skin. So for you, did you find were some of the challenges that you faced, or some of like those harder things, like whether it be mindset that you had to work through, and how did you work to overcome them?
I think the biggest challenge was actually accepting like that the journey is not linear. Like I've heard you say it, but when you actually go through it, when you actually come into the program, you do have like subconsciously you have some expectations that, oh, by 3 months or by 4 months or by 5 months, and it's gonna be like a nice upward
Gradual improvement.
progression.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think accepting that it's not gonna be that, because I remember I was following the anti-inflammatory protocol, and I think I had like some flare-ups in week 3 of it. And the first time I had a flare-up, my mind went to like, oh no, like this is not working. I have been doing so good. I've been so consistent with everything. And then I literally had like a SOS with Liana. I was like, like, I need
Hi.
help. Yeah.
Help. Help, I have a flare.
Yeah, and she was so kind and supportive the entire time. And I think I've probably had like a SOS chat with her probably like 2, 3 times, because as I said, I came to the program with like controlled skin, so I never knew what like a detox or a flare up would look like. So that was super new to me. But I think the win is that after the first 2, 3 calls with Liana, I sort of learned to be my own cheerleader. Like the same things that Liana would say to me, I can now say to myself. Like, and I think that's like the biggest win, where, and my background's actually psychology. Like I have a bachelor's in psychology.
That's cool.
So I know all of this, but it's always been like hard to apply it for myself. But I'm finally doing it. Like every night I like journal before sleeping. I write like positive affirmations. Like, so it's been great. So even if my skin's not doing as well, and if I'm having like a flare up in the middle of a protocol, I have like things to calm me down, because I also know that if I'm not calm, it's gonna get worse. Like, why should I stress about it? So
Yeah.
I think mindset has been the biggest challenge, and it's a work in progress, but it's ultimately the biggest win.
And this is coming from a psychology major, right? Like you studied this, you have a degree in it, and even you found it challenging. Like I agree with you, like mindset is probably one of the hardest things for me, and it's a never ending journey. Like it's something that you'll work on for the rest of your life.
Definitely.
When you know that you're worth it, it becomes easier. And then it just is, but it's also isolated, because not all the issues, or the little demons I like to call, they don't surface all together, right? It's like this one kind of bugs us and this one bugs us, or the acne, or then there's just scarring, or then there's the hyperpigmentation. And I know we want it all to go away all at once. However, once we allow ourselves and grace ourselves the opportunity to embrace the journey and understand it's a journey and know that you're showing up for yourself, it really does help sculpt, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. And so for you, Anjan, when you came in, I'd love to know a little bit, like what was your what were you eating before? And did you have any apprehension or nervousness around having to change how you were eating, or was it a little bit easier for you?
So, as I said, I've been following your page since 2020. So I
Mm-hmm.
was already doing all the good nourishing things. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
already on an anti-inflammatory diet, but a plant-based one. So I think the only thing that was really different was that I wasn't eating enough protein.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also from India. So I think the traditional Indian diet is very like veggies, lentils, pulses, and like a
Mm-hmm.
carb. So traditionally we don't have like a lot of protein in our diet. So that was something I wasn't used to. And but my apprehensions were the other way around. Like I was thinking that I'm already doing all this. So like if how would that really, help my skin? I'm already doing it. But then when I get into the program, there's so many more nuances to it. It's not just anti-inflammatory. There's so many protocols to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and there was never any hesitation about that because my biggest hesitation was always like, I don't want to do the wrong thing. So as long
Mm-hmm.
as someone is telling me that this is what I need to do, following up on that comes easy to me. Like
Mm-hmm.
knowing that, okay, I got to do this. And it's easy to be consistent for me in terms of like the food. It's always been like the mindset and the perception, and
Yeah.
if I'm doing the wrong thing or if I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, right. It's like eating the foods is kind of the easy part. It's
For
really
me, yes.
cultivating that mindset for a lot of people. And I have a question for you because, I find we do it in our DMs where we have women that are coming from, different cultural backgrounds, whether it's Indian, they're Asian, they're fit, like their culture is so surrounded by food, especially with their family. And so did you have any apprehension about doing like more therapeutic protocols and having that cultural background with your food?
Actually, so I've never really been like a foodie or like a person who, like builds my social settings around food.
Mhm.
And even like my parents or my family, they're not that big foodies. We don't have
Mm.
that whole big Indian dinners or anything. Fun fact, my parents actually own an Indian restaurant.
No way.
Yeah, so that's funny.
I
But
love that.
yeah, honestly, no, like it's definitely been tough to
Mhm.
sometimes not enjoy some meals that they can have, but then I also know it's not forever. It's just now that I need to do this, and then once I am through to this program, it'll be
Mhm.
more balanced, more sustainable. So it's never felt like, oh, I'm gonna miss out on like big family dinners or something
Right.
because I just always meal prep. Like even during my first 4 weeks of the gut
Mhm.
microbial protocol, I actually had a tattoo convention at the other city.
Oh, cool.
And I knew I'm not gonna like find like food that I want to eat. So I meal prepped. I bought like a ice storage box to take
Yeah.
with me and I put all my food in there. So the
Look at
three
you.
days I was set. I was like, okay, breakfast, I have this, lunch, I have this.
And you
So
probably saved money on that,
I
actually.
saved money because I knew that if I don't meal prep, even if I do find the food, it would not be at the right time. I would probably like have to skip meals or something, and I was
Mhm.
just not ready to like compromise on that.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
love
I'm
that.
just
Thank you for
someone who
sharing
just
that.
wants to like prepare myself,
Mhm.
and also like I think in one of your additional resources, like if you just prepare yourself, of course, you're setting up yourself for success. Like if you don't have meal prep, then you will find it overwhelming.
Absolutely. And I love that for you. You went to a conference in a different city and you didn't let that stop you. You're like, okay, well, we're just going to adapt. We're going to pre-make some things. You brought it and you were probably feeling more nourished because you weren't starving yourself all day and waiting till you could go to a restaurant and do that. So I love that you really, took the bull by the horns. You're like, yeah, I'm just going to do this. We did it. And you made it through. I love that.
Yeah.
It's
Setting
so awesome.
yourself up is so understated, right?
Mm-hmm.
People feel like it's a chore or I can't have. I love how you said I'm not willing to compromise because that is you. That's a gold star right there. Take your gold star, put it
2
on
gold
your wall.
stars.
Yay.
Yeah,
Two.
yeah.
Two.
Go at, these are the things that we have to look at. It is never about deprivation. It is always about setting yourself up. And when you set yourself up and you plan, you have the opportunity for success. And that drives a sustainable model that we're all looking for. Right?
Yeah, definitely. And that's not to say that there have been times, like tiny moments, where I do feel like, oh, I can't have that. Oh, I see someone's Instagram story with like amazing food.
Delicious.
And
Yeah.
and maybe like the first instinct would be that I can't have it. But then I really try to focus on like changing the narrative, as you said, like, okay, but I don't want to have this because like I can have something else.
Absolutely. And I like that you had also said that it was not forever, just for now. And that's Chris's words. So I clearly know that you're listening to the podcast because Chris says that all the time. Not forever, just for now. We have a goal in sight with an end date. And it's like, it's therapeutic, right? If you break your ankle, of course you can't be going and running a marathon on it. You have to go through physio and you have to do strengthening and you're putting creams and bandages on. And it's the same thing for your face.
Let's hold at that reference. I love it. You're running a marathon, you have sort of that rest. When you're in here, we're really teaching rest.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
people, and I just kind of went, and I got a moment, because we're teaching to rest digestion by not overeating or undereating, right? Because it causes that stress-like response. We're teaching how to rest in decisions and rest almost, asking for your trust, if not, right?
Yeah.
To reside that trust, that factor over, so that you can execute those protocols. Really, we don't need you thinking and researching and looking. We need you to rest and ease your mind so that you have the ability to calm and apply. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Like, I think one of the things was stress, and one of the things was that I was constantly thinking about it or trying something else, and there wasn't enough like rest physically and mentally.
That's something that we can all relate to because we live in such a go society. And it's hard for a lot of people to rest because our society views it as lazy. It's like, well, if you're resting, this North American world that we live in, like if you go overseas, you go to Europe, you go all these places that are more, relaxed and easygoing. It's this North American society that we live in that push us to that burnout.
Even India, like Indians are like, in the Indian culture is overwork, underpay. That's what I feel it is. And I think even the work-life boundaries back in India are just like so miserable that you're constantly like having to work, or like the hustle culture.
Right. Yeah, hustle. Yeah, like I'm sure if anyone's been to India, they see how busy it is there.
Yep.
Yeah, the country that never sleeps.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we have done this as a society, right? In a decade, we've really kind of bastardized what we define as important. And we tend to put ourselves at the end of that spectrum, at the very bottom, because it's like, I have to do more, I have to be more, like education, this, like you said, right? You've done your education, you have it. I just needed help just kind of reapplying it, right?
Yeah.
So funny. I know it's incredible how we ended up like this, but I'm glad that you also found that rest was important. And now, Anjan, being 5 months into the program at the time of recording, how are you feeling? Like, I want to know, like, how are you feeling with your skin? How are you feeling with your digestion? Like, overall?
I feel like overall, I feel really positive about today and the future. Like, I just feel like I have like the world waiting for me. Like, there's so much fun things to do in life. In terms of skin, it's definitely like calmed down, like less inflammation. There's not a lot of active like blemishes or acne. It's just more in like the settling phase. But I do feel like even though I'm like 5 months in, I'm definitely gonna stay for longer.
Yay! I love when clients stay for long. You're like, I can't go. I gotta hang out.
And
is
the
it
reason for that,
because that's actually I wanted to nail that. So I'm glad you're gonna bring that up. Go ahead.
So the reason is because I know in like a couple more months, I would be more settled in my skin.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to like reap more benefits out of it. Like, like there's more that I would want with not just clear skin, like, like really like heal even more. Like, like it
Mm-hmm.
feels like something that's the right thing to do. Like if I'm addressing my gut health right now, after that, I would want to see, what else my body needs supporting with.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the reason I would want to stay for longer. Not that, oh, I didn't have the skin I wanted and I want to like stick through it. That's not the reason. The reason is that there's so many more things I would like to address.
Right. It's like when you start to feel better, you're like, oh, I can feel like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. And it's almost like you're like, I want more. I want more of this. I want to feel better because, you spend your whole life not realizing that you can feel better.
Absolutely.
Outside of that, because I've been doing this with Katie for a while now, and I get to work really in depth with the coaches. I try to use a little bit of the fostering of obviously the methodology in everything. And then of course, the things that I have that, we bring in everybody's skill set. So when you say, I want to stick this out more because I know I can do more, then I'm just going to go give gold stars to the team because that truly
gold stars all around today.
No, but we also have to take our wins on both sides, right? Because that shows that you see that there is offerings inside the Clear Skin Solution, that we come as a vessel, we come as a unit, we come as a wealth of knowledge. And when we don't know, we never say, oh, yeah, let's just try this. It's, okay, this is what I'm going to do. If it doesn't work by here, here's the next plan, then whatever. And we're going to elevate from there, right?
Yeah, like if it wasn't for Liana, I wouldn't be having all these wins. Like, I could follow all the protocols in the same direction, but if I didn't have that support and that reassurance and that just constant like motivation, it would be really different. I wouldn't have the mindset I have right now. So definitely it's for the team.
I love that. I love that you connected so well with Liana. She's such a lovely human. So I'm glad you got to hang out with her the last few months. So Anjan, as we finish up here, I would love for you to share, for someone that's listening and they're like, oh my gosh, me too. Same, all across the board. Like, what is your words of wisdom or words of advice for them?
I feel like the best thing to do is not a quick fix or like a overnight solution, because when it comes to acne, it's basically your body communicating that, hey, I need help. And if you go the traditional route, if you do, that's totally fine. But if you do go the traditional route, you're putting a band-aid on that. You're not really addressing what your body needs. So like this program is all about like actually addressing and supporting your body. And I feel like that can never be like the wrong decision.
That's beautiful. Oh my gosh.
I should also say we have not paid her for any of this.
I really like I mentioned to you off before we started recording, is I'm so grateful to get to talk to you and every client that we've had in this series, because it's not only it's heartwarming for me to hear about your experiences, because really why we started what we do is I want women to have their confidence back, because I know what it's like to not have it. So just listening to you like brings tears to my eyes, and I think I've said that to every client because it truly does. And at the same time, is it so empowering for other women listening, like I said, to say, oh my gosh, same. I've been there. I'm not alone. So again, thank you, Anjan, so much for sharing your story with us and being so vulnerable, because I'm sure there's someone else out there listening thinking, thank you for sharing, because I felt alone. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you.
All right, everybody. Another lovely chat here with our one of our Clear Skin Solution clients. That's it for us here today on the podcast, but we'll be back next Wednesday with another episode. Chat then.
Thanks for hanging out with us this week on the Clear Skin Chronicles. We'll see you next Wednesday with a brand new episode. Remember to subscribe to the show and drop us a review. Sending glowing vibes your way, Katie and Chris.